Tom Downey for the Cowboys Report, and you know it's a bad season when we're entering Week 9, and we're once again doing the, hey, you need to make a bunch of changes video, which there are still several that this team has to do. Some of them are different. One of them is not. That's where we're at, because your season is at best on the brink at 3-4, and the vibe's at an all-time low, or at least all-season low. Do you think right now, this year's over, do you think the Cowboys are cooked? They're 3-4, but they're way at the bottom of the NFC playoff picture. Be honest with me. Y for yes, N for no. Let's cheat off the top because it's a bad season. You have to find a way to get healthy. And I think you need two key players back on defense. First up is DaRon Bland. He has not played this year due to his foot injury. The window to activate him is about to close. So it is now or never, as the Cowboys have played Amani Oruwariye. Their teams are not even looking at Trayvon Diggs' direction outside of the fastest guy trying to run by him sometimes. You need DaRon Bland back out there. You also need Micah Parsons back out there. You got other guys who are further away from returning at this point. Boy, you need Micah Parsons. The pass rush this year has been absolutely non-existent. It's just, outside of week 1, hasn't been there. And Micah gets some of the blame for that in a couple games he's played too. But he's got a 70% pressure rate, and you got nobody else above 11. Massive difference. Hopefully Brandin Cooks comes back. He was back out there last week, this past week I should say, with the rehab group, so hopefully he's okay. I have been whelmed by Brandin Cooks. I am tired of Jalen Brooks snaps, though. So let's get Cooks back out there. I don't know when you're going to get Tank Lawrence back. And depending on, I don't think he's going to be back until November, which that sucks because you miss him in run support. He's always been your best run defender up front for years now, and times the only good one. It's just another player of your decimated defense. Up front, you just don't have the horses because you lost talent at defensive tackle. You added literally nobody until August. Nobody on your roster until August. That was it. Justin Rogers is in my team. Still on practice squad, by the way, if you want to go get him, but it's not that good. You're down your top 4 pass rushers because there's 0 NFL teams built to win without your top 4 guys. You added KJ Henry, and that was it, as if that was going to fix stuff. There's no pass rush right now consistently without a blitz. It's the only way they get pressures. And no team is built to lose their top 4 passers and have success. It's nobody. No NFL team can handle it. And if you're not going to go add talent, look, the reality we're staring down the barrel here is this. Even once healthy, that's probably too little too late. Save your season. Hopefully they can play against the Falcons, Bland and Micah. That Falcons defense is not very good, so your offense, more than a little bit, has to get way, way better. Boy, season's on the brink, man. So give me your Cowboys record predictions at the pinned comments of today's show. The ad comes on YouTube. Take advantage of it and go vote. Number 2, let's give up hope and prayers of changing the scheme, which we'll talk about here. But you got to get something out of your ground game. Because this ground game is atrocious in every single way. I had hoped that when the Cowboys called up Dalvin Cook, given the fact that your head coach said he is an outside zone runner, that meant you're going to run more outside zone. They did not. In fact, they even ran less outside runs than previous weeks. Now, there might be a reason for that. We'll get to it. Week 8, their outside run rate was 31.6%. For the season, it's 38.2%. So all that time off, the bye week, and the answer was more inside runs. Now, that might have been because you didn't have Rico Dowdle. And Dowdle fits the outside zone stuff. And you look at the NFL Pro stats, 90% of Zeke's runs came on the inside. Dalvin Cook was at 50%. That's progress on the Cook side, bad on the Zeke side. Overall, it's still tight zone. And maybe it changes with Rico healthy again. But that feels like hopium to me. That's what that feels like. And I don't want to get high on that supply there. Look, your running game's bad. Dowdle's been better, but I wouldn't presume say he's like some elite running back you have to feed the ball 20 times to. There's nobody worthy on this roster of getting 20 carries in a game. That's just not what you have. Zeke's still fluttering at under 3.5 yards per carry. It's like 3.2 right now. Rico's at 4.1. Dalvin Cook's at 2. That's a 2-carry sample size. So how much can you really do into that? I don't know. But the Niners are not a great run defense, and you ran it good for a little bit, and then you stopped and couldn't afterwards. Who should be RB1 for this team? Because I kind of suspect you'll see Dalvin Cook called up again this week. RD for Rico Dowdle, DC for Dalvin Cook, EE for Ezekiel Elliott. Who should be the team's RB1? I think pretty clearly the answer is still Dowdle. Now, again, we're kind of getting into he's the shortest 7-footer, which is the nice way of saying the offensive one. It just might not matter, though, or at least not matter enough, which is not quite good enough is the theme of this entire Cowboys team right now for me. And I think it is very obvious there is a complete lack of trust from your coaching staff when it comes to this ground game. They don't believe that they can run the ball. They don't have faith in the team to do it. And to be fair, they're not really wrong. This is the NFL's worst ground game. Not just from a volume standpoint, but an efficiency standpoint. Nothing that this team does on the ground is good right now. Nothing. It's all bad. Here are the advanced numbers, and just the raw numbers too. They're dead last in rushing yards per game. They are dead last in yards per carry. Both of those are bad. You know, they've run the ball in totality so far this season 152 times. That's the fewest in the NFL. Now, they've had their bye, so the Seahawks could potentially jump the Seahawks again and maybe some more teams. But that's a pretty damn large sample size. They're 22nd in EPA per carry, 23rd in success rate. They're 27th in yards before contact, dead last in yards after contact. It's not blocked up well, and they're not getting stuff after it. They're dead last in explosive runs, 3 of those by your receivers, by the way, and you're facing the 3rd highest amount of light boxes. The 3rd highest amount. Your stacked box rate, by the way, is 23rd. The looks are favorable, and no matter who's back there, no matter what play calls are being done, nothing is working. The ground game sucks. Scheme, offensive line personnel, backfield personnel. There's nothing redeemable right now about this ground game, and it makes this team one-dimensional, and they're paying the price on a consistent basis. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. They've made today's show possible. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to up to 100 times your cash. It is available in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. It is the only real money daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play. Even if one of your players gets injured, if a player goes down the first half, does not return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. They invented the flex play, which I always advise doing, especially if you're doing a Texas State versus Louisiana PrizePicks slate for Tuesday Night Football. Definitely do the flex play on that. Download the PrizePicks app today over at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is guaranteed. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS. Number 3, you have to bench Donovan Wilson, man. I'm sorry. I've liked Dono in years past. He's worse now. He is completely lost out there on the field. I tweeted out the one clip. He is running the wrong way after the ball is already cleared. Like, he just has no idea what's going on. He couldn't hang with George Kittle at all in that game. Right now, Donovan Wilson is tied for 2nd in missed tackles from this Cowboys team, not including tackles where you're out of position. And he's pretty frequently out of position, by the way. He has also allowed the most yards in coverage among all of your players. More than Diggs, Juanyeh, your injured corners, your other linebackers. No one's allowed more yards in coverage than Donovan Wilson right now. I don't know what else you need to see to go, somebody has to sit. Because what the message being sent is right now is, that's fine. Who cares? Not sitting the players who are bad for you hurts your culture. It is allowing a stench of suck to just sit around your team, and then you get used to it. And you think that's how stuff smells normally when it's not supposed to. I am asking this coaching staff, this organization, to send a message one damn time. One time. Say, that's unacceptable. You're on the bench. And not for 2 plays. No, sit them. You have young safeties. Markquese Bell, Juanyeh Thomas. Shoot, man, they've played like 5 snaps each game on defense max. Let's try something. You can't just keep doing the same exact stuff and thinking, okay, this time the safeties aren't going to be a massive liability out there. Try Juanyeh Thomas. He's 217. He can play in the box. He's big for a safety. Try Markquese Bell. I'm down to also bench Malik Hooker. I think Dono's playing a bit worse, so I'll focus on him. I don't want to play Donovan Wilson this week. I really don't. I get he's physical, but it doesn't matter when you're out of position constantly. You're playing Kyle Pitts this week. If I'm Atlanta, I'm calling up so many crossers to George Kittle and saying, okay, Dono, cover him. You can't do it. Pick one to start. DW for Donovan Wilson, JT for Juanyeh Thomas, MB for Markquese Bell. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Number 4, got to help Terence Steele. Again, this is a coaching issue for me. We know who Terence Steele is. He's a good run blocker. He's actually done a really good job on the ground this year. But he's got issues in pass protection, especially against the other best pass rushers. So I don't understand why this coaching staff constantly goes, let's just allow Nick Bosa one-on-one against Terence Steele. How do you consistently think that's a good idea? It's not. I think Steele's had, frankly, his 2 worst games in the last 2 weeks. Against the Lions and against the 49ers. You know why? Because you're like, oh, let's let Terence Steele go one-on-one against Nick Bosa and Aiden Hutchinson and barely chip into the 4th quarter when he played better. Why is he on an island? What are you doing out here? Why is your extra back always on the other side from the top pass rusher? How does that make sense? You do all this quick game, all this rollout stuff to protect your O-line, but then you go, island. Honestly, what do we expect if it's 1v1 Bosa versus Steele? If it's 1v1 Bosa versus anybody on this offensive line, it's not going to go well. This team doesn't want to game plan around their personnel's strengths and weaknesses and the other team's strengths and weaknesses. The Niners are a bottom 5 outside run defense team. They barely ran to the outside. I know this stuff, so how do they not know it? How does this coaching staff get into the Bible and go, yeah, we've getting a lot more stunts, got to handle that? Was there since week 2. Had to take you a month and a half to figure that stuff out. I firmly believe the organization set up the coaching staff for failure. The coaching staff has just embraced it with open arms and said, let's go out this way. Come on. You got to help your players, man. This is something got Garrett fired because it wouldn't help Chaz Green. Adjust on the fly. They're terrible at. They're terrible adjusting in season, too. Now, for more Cowboys videos, hit that sub button. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. Number 5, I need a second playmaker somehow, some way. Because I have one right now. And his name is CeeDee Lamb. I have one guy that is showing up for me on this Cowboys team and making plays in the passing game or in the ground game, frankly. It's Lamb. Every now and then you get a good Tolbert game, get a good Dowdle game, but those guys are tertiary options. They're not a number 2. They're barely a number 3. Where's old Jake Ferguson? He's not making anything happen after the catch the way he did last year. He's not. He doesn't look as explosive. It's all short stuff out of Ferguson right now, too. Kevontae Turpin is being utilized as a sideline contested catch guy because that doesn't make any damn sense at all. He's not 5'9". I know he's closer to 5'7" than he is 5'9". He's 153 pounds. He jumps for every ball thrown his way. He's a gadget guy. That's who he is. He's Tavon Austin at best. Jalen Brooks, I feel like there are times I could cover him. He doesn't get open ever. It is only contested catches. Somebody has to show up. Quarterback has to play better too, to be clear. But these guys don't get open on their own. There's nobody that is an elite route runner or an elite burner with size. Because Turpin's 5'7.5". I need more schemed up stuff. Now, we saw some of that, and then it just went away on the final drive. They just ran 4 plays with nobody open. The Cowboys' motion at the snap, which is the valuable motion, before Week 8 was at 14%. It's very low. It is the cheat code on offense to an extent. Ask any defensive player. They hate motion at the snap. Swear to God. Cowboys Week 8 motion, 12%. So we got through the bye week, and you had a bye week to self-reflect and make adjustments. And the answer is, let's not do that. That's the wrong answer to the test. It's wrong. You got to try more things here, Mike. You can't sit up there and go, okay, let's try the exact same thing. What you're doing? You run mesh great in the red zone. The mesh calls have worked. How come I can't get a mesh call one time outside of the red zone? Or at least occasionally outside of the red zone, or more frequently? The answer is the coaching staff's just not good enough. Because that's the theme of this entire scheme. You as a team are just not good enough. There's not enough good coaching. There's not enough good players. Your best players aren't playing well enough relative to their own expectations outside of your kicker. That's a bad spot to be. There's a lot of not quite enough here, not quite enough here, not quite enough here, not quite enough there, and it all converges into team's not good enough, period. All those just continuously adding 5 pounds, 5 pounds, 5 pounds, 5 pounds. It's fine if it's 25 pounds, but once you reach critical mass, you just can't take any more, and that's where this team is at.